Everyone, Nick here. Hope you guys are doing well. And if there's one thing that I cannot tolerate in technology, it's dishonesty from the products, brands, and services that we've all come to love. Users, and more aptly people, are the absolute cornerstone of any exciting development in technology, and deception of them to fuel profits or corporate influence is, in my opinion, absolutely unforgivable. These standards should not only apply to small and up-and-coming startups, but also the absolute behemoths, the titans of industry that on a daily basis have come to dominate every aspect of our technological lives. Today, I want to talk about the recent buzz surrounding Apple. First things first, don't get me wrong, Apple is a company that I deeply admire. They constantly create trends that affect an entire industry without resorting to cheap tricks or bashful competitive advertising. In other words, they very much let their products speak for themselves. So, needless to say, when I heard that they were throttling the speed of older iPhones, I was left confused, a bit disappointed, and more specifically, very lost as to where to put my support in the two class action lawsuits against them. Let's check it out. Complaints against Apple regarding planned obsolescence have roamed the archives of technology publications for years now, but the company has always maintained a vehement denial of any attempt to slow down older phones. Until now. Under the guise of several software updates, Apple admitted to such actions in their defense to prevent any sort of sporadic crashes that could result from battery degradation issues. Lithium-ion batteries worsen in performance and current output over time, and in an effort to deliver the best possible customer experience, Apple decided to underclock older iPhones with battery issues that could randomly shut down during performance-intensive tasks. Now, while all of these do seem like valid concerns that Apple took the correct measures to resolve, when we dive into the details, things do seem a bit fishy. To an audience of users that in years previous have brought pleas of slower iPhones to the surface, Apple's statement seems like an evasion from what could have been a clear and evident violation of consumer trust. Resultingly, two class action lawsuits have been created against Apple that echo this sentiment exactly. Litigators argued that Apple never so much as even informed users that they were going to slow down their iPhones, and as a result, showed a clear lack of transparency in what they were doing to users' phones. And from a consumer perspective, it's easy to see how someone can perceive this as nothing more than a gambit to sell more iPhones. Now, while I personally disagree with that sentiment, I understand the concern. Smartphones have become such a deep extension of our personal and professional lives that when their performance comes into question, users deserve a full debrief. In many ways, I actually agree with what Apple did. CPU throttling is an effective and important measure against battery degradation. But for users to wait for a class action lawsuit to actually hear the truth when they don't know what's going on, how can you expect them to take the news with anything other than a high level of suspicion? Ultimately, I strongly believe that users have the responsibility to impugn the practices of such technology companies in these types of circumstances. Should Apple have published a detailed blog post that explained what battery degradation is and how they went about fixing it, then much of the backlash and bitter litigation and just general spread of misinformation could have been avoided. In an age where data and technology have come to pervade nearly every aspect of our lives, communication and transparency are major priorities, ones which should be imposed on even the most influential of companies. It's clear that lessons are to be learned, by both parties actually. The first is by companies in slowly figuring out that they can't leave consumers in the dark, and the second is by users themselves, in learning to trust and appreciate the generally good intentions of such providers. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for making it this far. Click my links down below to read my Huffington Post articles and follow me on social media when you can. Thanks, guys.